Hey, this is Gabe, Senior Product Manager for the Project Management Group in the Plan Stage GitLab. We're going to be talking about the 13.3 release today, so let's head over to the planning issue. There's not much different in terms of target scope for this release. We weren't able to make progress on what we had planned for 13.2 because 50% of the backend engineers in my group were loaned to the Jira integration effort to make sure that that shipped in 13.2, which I believe it will. Still proud of our team for completing what they were able to get done this iteration, even though they're shorthanded. As of early this morning, all of the merge requests for the MVC for iterations were merged in. Still dependent upon when the final release candidate gets cut, whether or not it will get included because they aren't deployed to .com yet or they are not live. So fingers crossed there, hopeful that it gets in 13.2. 13.3, we're going to continue working on burn up charts, burn down charts, and toggling those based on various metrics like weight and time. And then starting on the group by functionality so that we can group issues by different attributes that they share in common. And then the same quality of life improvements are on our roadmap, removing labels with one click, assigning epic to a group, and some of the same things that I'm not going to go into detail because I highlighted it last kickoff for 13.2. What I will talk a little bit about is some of the changes to our category pages, direction pages within the project management group. One of the things that I did to try to help better communicate where the progress we're making against our themes is updating with each of these what's next and why, where we're at and what's next and what's planned. So for the managed sprint release cadence, I think we will hopefully have shipped the iterations, first MVC in 13.2. We're going to continue to invest in the roadmap for iterations for the foreseeable future until it gets to the point where it supports the use cases it needs to for single teams to plan, as well as roll up reporting upstream through the group hierarchy. And we're also continuing to work on tracking scope change within a milestone. Heinrich took over working on this in 13.1 and made a lot of good progress. I'm highly confident that we will be able to ship burn up charts on milestones as well as iterations in 13.3. And then from there, we're going to continue to show basic improvements and changes to issues that happen. So if issue were to miss, we would show that it would miss within the report for that given iteration or milestone instead of showing that it was never part of it. Shipping iterations in 13.2 unblocks us for working on velocity and volatility and eventually team capacity. So we're going to start the design phase of this in 13.3 and sorting that out and working with the analytics group and manage to see how we can collaborate together on that. But this is kind of the natural evolution of iterations. Is this will allow us to sum or the average weight delivered over a previous number of iterations, help you set better expectations for what you're able to deliver within the next iteration. Issue task lists and tasks is taking a little bit of a backseat because of some evolving priorities, but we still want to work on this. One of those things that kind of came up just out of the blue was extensible issues and issue types. So the monitor group was deciding whether or not to create first-class issues or first-class incidents, or if it was possible to extend issues, which they had already been using. And so we spent a lot of time in 13.2 as a team working closely with them to sort out how we can extend issues to support their use cases, but also create sort of a framework that will then allow us to evolve into other types of issues, and then eventually allowing the end user to customize what those types of issues are and what sorts of fields are on them. So we're working on this before we get to custom fields, because part of what we want to do with these extensible issue types is allow different types to have different types of metadata associated to them, but all using the same underlying issue. And this is great because it will reduce the amount of rework we have to do. Whereas like creating a new first class object, even if you're using some of the issuable parts, it takes months. And I think we're going to be able to get first class instance launched in a single release. So this is a good efficiency gain. And once we get a little further along with this, we'll probably circle back up to custom fields. I also updated the strategy for this long-term strategy to support the things that we're working on, which is the working group for simplifying groups and projects, and then also making things more extensible. These kind of focuses are the result of customer feedback that GitLab is not extensible enough to support, we use that word a lot, but it's not possible to support in a usable manner all of the different use cases that companies are trying to use it for. Whether that's monorepos, microservices, wanting to have your issues at the group level. There's just a lot of things that that aren't configurable enough to support the emerging needs as we try to scale and support enterprise readiness. So this is going to be an ongoing effort probably for the next 12 months, I would say, and we'll chip away as we can. The Jira importer, I think in 13.2, we shipped the first parser, the first version of the parser for converting Atlassian document format to GitLab flavor Markdown. And in talking with Patrick and the ecosystem team, I think we put together a good roadmap for how to merge the importer with the Jira integration. So users set up the integration once, and then they have the option of a one-time import, or they have the option to maintain an ongoing two-way data sync between Jira issues and GitLab issues. So I think this will be the natural evolution of the importer, and it also makes sense so that we're not having an overlapping solution and creating two different, more or less issue integrations with Jira. This hasn't been merged in yet either, but this is the Kanban Boards direction page. And one of the things that I did is kind of go through this page and try to remove the references, just call it issue boards. One of the things that we're working on right now, and the portfolio group is going to be shipping in 13.3, is Epic swim lanes. After Epic swim lanes, we're going to repurpose boards and extend them. Again, the theme of extension, using things we have, small primitives, to support many different use cases. The extend boards to support Epic boards or program boards. And this is another key component of being competitive with those organizations that use SAFe. And then I added a couple other this is how we'll know we've achieved our purpose for boards, is that they have integrated analytics. And this is based on feedback from analysts and the single Scrum team use case, where boards don't have analytics, whether that's velocity or time in lane or cumulative flow diagrams. And we kind of got docked for that from an analyst standpoint. And it also will make it easier for teams to stay in context and do their ceremonies while having the data right in front of them when they're planning. And this is, we also want to work towards making boards explore more rich contextual data about the relationship of current status related objects. A good example would be on issue card. If there's a merge request that is done, maybe we're ready for review or whatever, like highlight that on the card face so you don't have to open up the card or even open up the issue to know that you have to take action or there's something that's ready to be reviewed there. And I think what we really ultimately want to work towards is that teams never have to leave their current board to manage or interact with any object represented on the board. So you should be able to open a card, interact with an issue directly there, go back to the board. Whatever that looks like, we want to make it so people don't have to context switch as much when they're working within GitLab until they really want to do that. And this is where we've also updated our long-term vision here to highlight what it means for boards to be a little bit more extensible. There's a typo. And then we also want to incorporate epics a little bit better and integrating capacity planning and management into boards as well into the future. So that's just an overview of some of the category direction highlights and how our vision is evolving and our strategy is evolving as we kind of get further along in this fiscal year. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. Happy to discuss.